Yo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. The WWE presents the 2019 Clash of Champions. And we had 11 championship matchups on this night. Only 2 titles changed hands. The Fiend showed up at the end of the night to hand Seth Rollins a whole bunch of new plans for the Architect to follow directly into the Hell in a Cell. And is Braun Strowman dead? Can it be possible that Braun Strowman, as the giant of the WWE, has suffered irreparable damage? And we had the surprise return of Luke Harper, and that's supposed to be a big deal, and I don't know why, and we are going to talk about it right here and right now, because there's plenty things wrong with tonight's pay-per-view, the 2019 Clash of Champions review and reaction show. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Let's do it.
This was a decent show, man. This was a great show. This is the best WWE pay-per-view you've probably seen all year. We had a lot of great action on this night. Oh, everything was so much better than it usually is. I really like this direction. I really like that direction. Everything in the WWE isn't as bad as it is. Stop it.
Stop it. You're going to hear a lot of that shit tonight, all right? You're going to go listen to this one, you're going to go listen to that one, and they're all going to be doing all this.
Oh, the Clash of Champions was much better than I anticipated. Oh, the Clash of Champions is one of the better pay-per-views of 2019.
And while that might as well be true, we did get some good action on this night. We did see some very positive things, I guess you could say. There is still plenty of things wrong with this show that just continue to beat into your head just how fucking clueless this company is when it comes to putting together a pay-per-view. Even when they do things right, they find a way to do it in the most long, boring, drawn-out, useless way. They set up the stage for us tonight. The one big matchup of the night, the Clash of Champions match, was going to see the Raw Tag Team Champions face off against each other for the first time ever for a Universal Championship, and it was for nothing. They hyped that shit. They pumped it into your ears for weeks since they announced that match. Oh, the Raw Tag Team Champions, first time ever for the Universal Championship, twice in one night, blah, blah, this and that, fucking Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins, blah, 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 blah. And then within minutes of this pay-per-view officially starting, after the first matchup of the night, all of that could have been thrown out the window, and you took all of the extra drama that you invested coming into this show and sucked it right out of the main event of tonight's show. And the main event of tonight's show is where I want to begin, because I am infuriated at the decision to book Braun Strowman the way he was booked tonight. Now listen, Braun Strowman was the best we've ever seen him. That was his best singles match ever. Oh, Seth Rollins really did a good job with the big man. That was an interesting matchup. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't, and let me tell you why. Let me educate you all a little bit as to why this was a stupid match. I'm going right on the record and saying it, and you're going to follow along with me, and by the time I am done, you are going to understand. Once upon a time, there was a man. His name was Andre the Giant. He was the first American giant to take the wrestling world by storm. He was booked correctly. He was given respect, and he was booked as the giant monster that he was. Following that, we had The Big Show. The Big Show ended up a big giant clown. He flip-flopped between babyface and heel 150 times throughout his career. But he did not start out that way. He was booked properly at the start. It's what made everybody like The Big Show. You book him as a giant, and it worked for a while, until Vince got his grubby hands on him, and now we got The Big Show that we all know and somewhat love to this day. And they took a character like Braun Strowman, a guy that is built in this exact same light. He's 7 feet fucking tall, 400 pounds, and you got a little dweeb like Seth Rollins manhandling this man. The ease in which Seth Rollins took care of Braun Strowman tonight is unacceptable. And that is what makes this match absolutely ridiculous. That is what makes that main event suck. I don't give a shit that Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar twice. I don't give a shit that Seth Rollins beat Triple H at WrestleMania. This is supposed to be your biggest, baddest, meanest, most roughest, toughest monster on the block. The guy I know couldn't beat Brock Lesnar, but he is your future. He's young, he's supposed to be the giant of this generation, and you got him going out there, getting stomped 5 times, getting handled with ease by a guy nearly half his size. A guy that trying so hard to be cool that he comes off like a nerd. A guy that has got the almost Roman Reigns-like push behind him in the WWE, because how can you possibly want me to believe that Seth Rollins could cleanly defeat a man like Braun Strowman? It goes outside of the realm of professional wrestling. It does not lend to the believability of the product when you have things like this happen. And the fact that they did not take the Fiend and insert him in the finish of this matchup is the biggest crime of it all, because you had no reason to allow Seth Rollins to win cleanly over Braun Strowman when you are setting up a triple threat Hell in a Cell match between Strowman, Rollins, and The Fiend. He should have entered this matchup before it was over, took care of Rollins, took care of Strowman, left everybody just like we did with the black screen and the laughter and the creepiness, and nobody knows what's going on, and there would be no finish to that matchup. Braun Strowman wouldn't look like a jackass, Seth Rollins wouldn't have got the win, and everything could move on into Hell in a Cell in a much cleaner, much neater manner. But instead, you have Seth Rollins beating Braun Strowman. So what fucking reason does Braun Strowman have to be inserted into this Hell in a Cell match? Zero. And what do you do with Braun Strowman now? You got Braun Strowman being beaten by a dweeb on pay-per-view tonight, clean. How do you book Braun Strowman and have anybody have any fear of Braun Strowman? If Seth Rollins could beat Braun Strowman, anybody can beat Braun Strowman. Dolph Ziggler should be able to beat Braun Strowman. He's probably standing in the back going, it should have been me. What do you do with Braun Strowman now? What value does he have now? Zero. You got to go back to the bottom and build him back up again? There was no reason for him to lose. And then you want to get the belt to the Fiend. You go into Hell in a Cell. You have the Fiend pin Seth Rollins for the championship, protecting the giant Braun Strowman from having to suffer a defeat, making him look like less than what he is. He has no value now. Don't tell, it was a great match, but he put on such a great match. That has to be worth something. Maybe 3 years ago that would have been worth something, if it would have remained consistent. But who gives a shit about a good match? When you're 7 feet tall and you're losing to Seth Rollins, and looked to me as if you barely even put up a fight. Sure, there was a few big spots for Strowman, but think about how this match kicked off with Seth Rollins immediately gaining the advantage on the big guy, going up for the splash. Sure, he only got a 1 count, but how quickly did he get Braun Strowman down on his back? Who does that? It took Roman Reigns like 19 Superman punches to get Braun Strowman to 1 knee. Seth Rollins is taking him down with 2 shots to the leg, and you're going to tell me I'm wrong. Braun Strowman wasn't booked like an asshole. Come on, guys. You gotta be better than that. Am I happy that Seth Rollins is still the champion? I really don't give a shit. It didn't matter who they were handing it to. We all already knew what was in store for us at Hell in a Cell, and we are all sitting back and waiting for Bray Wyatt to get his hands on the Universal Championship as the Fiend. Until that happens, nobody gives a shit about anything that even happened here. With the exception of Bray Wyatt's interference at the end.
Oh, it was so great, man.
Think about that. Think about the damage it's done to the character of Braun Strowman. He is nothing more than a big joke. And unless they have plans on moving him to SmackDown Live and in some other direction, I don't see any way for them to revive the character of Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw and have him feel like a viable threat. Right now, he just looks like a 7-foot-tall chump. WWE continues to fail this man on every level.
Oh, you're so negative, man.
I'm not fucking negative. I see what I see and I speak the truth. I don't want to say these things, but it's right there in front of your faces. You should be smart enough to be able to put it together for yourself. Think about the future of Braun Strowman. If you were booking the WWE and this happened tonight and you had to pick up the pieces from Braun Strowman, what do you do to make anybody fucking care? To make anybody scared? You're gonna go make him start flipping fucking garbage trucks over again, but he can't beat Seth Rollins. Fucking ridiculous, and they make me feel like an idiot. And this nonsense is not just exclusive to the WWE Universal Championship. Let's go through the rest of this card before I have a goddamn brain aneurysm. We had started off on the pre-show. A lot of the action on this night was very good. It was not as good as I expected when it came to the Triple Threat Cruiserweight Championship match. Drew Gulak retained the Cruiserweight Championship, but the star of this matchup was Humberto Carrillo. Lince Dorado had a few nice spots, but Carrillo was the all-star of this matchup. Definitely needs to be given a lot more to do. This guy's fantastic. His athletic ability is off the charts. He was pulling off some fantastic stuff. Definitely go back, worthy of watching, worthy of spending your time. But the matchup altogether was not as good as I expected it to be. I really thought this was going to be a high-octane, fast-paced, kickoff show type matchup, because we all know that's where the Cruiserweight title goes anyway. But the end of this matchup is what was really the most telling thing, as Humberto Carrillo was in the position to win the Cruiserweight Championship. He had Lince Dorado in a pinfall, and it was broken up by Drew Gulak, who would then go on and steal the pin for himself and remains your Cruiserweight Champion. It was a good match just going into it. If you watch my preview and prediction show, which you should have, and I don't know why you didn't, I really thought this was going to be like a near 4-star matchup, but they did a good job starting off. And it's just the pre-show anyway, so who cares, right? The pre-show isn't worth two dams. It don't matter. The WWE don't even count the pre-show. They don't even put it on the DVD when they release the DVD later on. If you go back and watch the show on the network, you have to watch the pre-show separately. It's not part of the main show, which is why I am so confused as to why AJ Styles in the United States Championship versus Cedric Alexander was placed on the pre-show. That feels all kinds of wrong to me. It feels 100% wrong to have this taking place here. AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw, off camera, during the dark match segment after the show, was put over by Stone Cold Steve Austin, whose word apparently is gold and who is the most important thing in all wrestling since we keep bringing him back. This man went out on a limb and said to the world in Madison Square Garden that AJ Styles is the best wrestler in the world doing it today. And then in the follow-up fucking pay-per-view, the WWE puts the so-called best wrestler in the world today on the fucking pre-show. You don't see anything wrong with that? How many of you guys missed the AJ Styles match because you didn't tune into the pre-show? How many of you were waiting for it throughout the night and only to find out that it happened and you missed it? AJ Styles on the pre-show. Unforgivable. The match, however, very interesting. It was not as long as I expected it to be. I thought these guys were going to have a barn burner, but essentially we had AJ Styles showing his veteran ways and taking advantage of Cedric Alexander. Alexander came out like a house on fire. He definitely had the advantage early on, but it would take one Styles clash on the outside to Cedric by AJ to turn this matchup all the way around in favor of the champion. He was so arrogant and so adamant about the fact that he was going to win this matchup. He had Cedric pinned and lifted his head up on his own for the 3 because he just was not done beating this guy down to his liking. And the match would continue much to the same. Cedric would have a few spots where he'd pop back up, but at the end of the day, AJ Styles would prove to be victorious. Following this matchup, the OC would come down and continue with a vicious beatdown on Cedric Alexander, to which nobody came to his aid. So I guess Cedric Alexander didn't make too many friends. I guess Roman Reigns is too busy worried about Rowan to come out and help his little buddy that came out and helped him. I guess nobody gives a shit about Cedric. And the only thing about this that I could really come down on is the fact that it was much too short. It was really much too short. But they did the best they could with the time that they were allotted, and I can hope that this is just like a seed planted. Since they did it on the pre-show, it has to be pushed to probably a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown Live, or maybe it'll be a main card match at Hell in a Cell while Cedric can get his rematch for the United States Championship, because they're worth it. And it was a great matchup. It needed more time, and I want to see this go on further. Maybe this is a storyline that they're trying to develop, and we'll have to be a little patient and hold back, but this was one of the matches on the night that I don't have too much bad to say about. We did open the show with the Raw Tag Team Championships, and due to a miscommunication between the champs, that's the WWE trying to force the drama up your ass because you already don't care just as much as I don't care, so we have to facilitate some phony bullshit. Oh, they're gonna bump into each other and cost them the titles, and they're gonna give the titles to some bullshit makeshift tag team who have been together about as long as it takes for you to hiccup, and totally embarrass the entire tag team division in the process, giving them a big old one of these. Ha ha, Usos, ha ha, B-Team, ha ha, Heavy Machinery. We're going to put together Ziggler and Roode. They're going to beat every single one of you, and then they're going to go on and be the champs. Why? Well, because we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're WWE Creative. We go on the fly. I wouldn't be surprised if they ripped up the script to the Clash of Champions. Vince came in and was like, no way. Ripped that shit right in half and changed the whole show with minutes to go, because that's what they do there, right? I wouldn't be surprised, would you? I know you wouldn't be. So the Glorious Rudolphs are now our tag team champions of Monday Night Raw. And like I said in the open, they sucked away that extra drama. They sold you guys on the Strowman-Rollins match based off of the fact that we are going to see the tag team champions clash for the Universal title. And they took it all away. Oh, Braun's probably pissed now. Are you kidding me? You think they held the championships long enough for Braun Strowman to really have that chip on his shoulder? Oh, he cost me my beloved tag team championships that I held for about as long as it takes me to eat a Whopper Jr. with cheese. The fuck out of here. You kidding me? So this matchup was followed by the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Bayley, the evil Bayley, taking on the hometown girl, Charlotte Flair, right in the heart of Flair country. Woo! And they got me here. I definitely thought the WWE was going to do the WWE thing and give Charlotte Flair her 10th championship reign. But they did not do that. And to make it even better, they actually used some sense when it comes to booking a championship matchup involving the newly heel Bayley. There is no disputing it after tonight that she is a heel based off of her actions. You could get confused if you're going to base your opinion on Bayley on how she comes out to the ring with her stupid Bayley buddies and her stupid babyface music and not one tiny thing changing about her other than the way she performs in the ring. However, that being said, it definitely needs a change. She needs a heel song. She needs to either burst or fail to inflate the Bayley buddies from this moment on. It just needs to be something that happens. I think that would be a very cool way to make this whole thing come full circle. Make her change her outfit. Maybe drop the side ponytail and stop looking like a 7-year-old. Maybe just let your hair down. Do your makeup a little bit heavier. Maybe you model yourself after your buddy Sasha Banks. Make your fucking hair blue. Make it green. Make it purple. Make it yellow. Do something to make yourself different and really sell the fact that you're changing gears here. Because otherwise you just look like Bayley and it's very confusing. I understand you giving the message of positivity, in that heel manner where you're trying to show parents how your kids can be respectful and doing it kind of like a haha in your face type of thing. I get that. It's kind of what Sami Zayn's sort of doing, and I think Bayley could pull that off if they change it up a little bit. And this matchup, like I said, it was very good. Excellent heel psychology. Excellent heel psychology being portrayed by Bayley. She got the advantage on Charlotte Flair, who definitely was out wrestling her for the majority of what time they were given, only for Bayley, while she was stuck down in the corner, to remove the bottom turnbuckle, which is not something you see happen very often. She would get the advantage on Charlotte, send her face first into the exposed steel, down on that bottom turnbuckle, possibly breaking Charlotte Flair's nose, catching her completely off guard, knocking her silly, and getting the pin, retaining her championship. And as an extra tasty nugget, Bayley ran from the ring like she just murdered somebody, which is a beautiful heel tactic that you do not see much anymore. It's something very Ric Flair-esque, something that guys like The Miz used to do. You did something nefarious, you know you got one over on your opponent, and you are not going to stick around to find out what's going to happen. So she ran, she grabbed her title, which is a very important thing, because sometimes they don't do that, and it pisses me off. But she grabbed her championship, and she took off for the hills. Perfect. Perfectly executed. They need to just change her overall package, and this whole thing will get much better. We followed this up with another SmackDown Live Championship on the line, as the tag titles will be defended. The New Day versus the Revival. This was once again a pretty good matchup, as we all already knew was going to come, because when you put the Revival and the New Day in the ring, you got 4 top talents in there, and it's going to be a good tag team matchup, and they did deliver as far as that goes. However, what I don't understand is that a Raw tag team now has the SmackDown Live Championship of the tag team division. And that doesn't make sense. You have guys like Heavy Machinery down there. You have teams that are actually part of SmackDown Live's roster that are getting one of these again. Just like the entire roster rolled together with the Zglorious Rudolphs. The same thing is happening here, as a team from an opposing brand is winning your championship. And maybe this will all make sense when we come down to the draft. Maybe that's how we will move the Revival to SmackDown Live when we get to October 11th, but they didn't need to do that in order to make that move, so it seems kind of silly. I don't know why they took the titles away from the New Day in such an unceremonious fashion. It was very underwhelming. I thought that they deserved to go out a little bit better than that, and I definitely don't understand this maneuver based off of what happened with Kofi Kingston later on in this night, because I thought that they gave these belts to the Revival as a way to validate them while they stand next to Randy Orton, who I assumed on this night as well was going to win the WWE Championship, and we'll get to that later. But Big E was taken out by the Revival on the outside, which allowed them to focus on Xavier Woods and his injured leg. They hit him with a shatter machine and then tapped him out. Scott Dawson locked him up in a vicious-looking leg lock. Xavier Woods taps out. Then we get a very, very lame post-match promo from the Revival where they decided to say the word finally 100 times. Finally, you're not going to have pancake juice on your belts. Finally, you're going to have champs to be proud of. Finally, you're not going to gyrate. Finally, you're not going to blow horns, or you're not going to blow camels, and you're not going to blow your boyfriend, and you're not going to blow bubbles, and you're not going to blow anything. I don't know why that just happened, but it happened. And they predicted Randy Orton to win the title, which I thought at that very moment was the nail in the coffin for Randy Orton winning the championship, even though that is what I wanted to see happen. Not because I don't want to see Kofi as champion, because I think Kofi is a great champion. I just wanted the WWE to go a different direction, maybe lead to a rematch where Kofi can win it back down the line, going once they go on Fox. I don't know, but I think a lot of people were ready for the championship to change hands. I somewhat am, but I'm not mad at the fact that Kofi Kingston is still the champion. I'm just more confused about that than ever. We'll talk a little bit more when we get to that. After the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships were defended, or were stolen by the Revival, I should say, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship matchup. And just based off of this, and based off of the fact that there was no title change in this matchup, maybe this should have been on the pre-show and you should have had AJ and Cedric on the main card in its place. Just throwing that out there, because this was very unnecessary, especially when you add in the unnecessary addition of the "Hey, look at me, I'm a clown, 24/7 avocado gold-plated toasted championship belt that nobody gives two shits about." They had to have it there. Had to put it in. It was the Night of Champions. God forbid we don't see the 24/7 jerk-off champion. I'm a dick. Anyway, this women's tag match was actually not that bad. It was the best I've seen coming out of Alexa Bliss in a long time. It's the best I have seen Mandy Rose look, and I loved everything that Nikki Cross did in this match. This match maybe was just a little bit too long. You know, they could have been in and out with this, and that probably is the fault of the 24/7 I'm a clown avocado toast championship belt. But take that whole thing out of it. This was not the worst showcase for the women's tag team division that I have ever seen. What is the worst, however, is the WWE music department. And I can't even believe I'm saying that, because they are usually spot on. WWE music division is usually fantastic. Fantastic with a capital F and a capital astic. But I don't know why they've gotten so fucking lazy. They've gotten just as lazy as the jerks that write this garbage, because they can't even come up with songs for tag teams anymore. All of these put together rando tag teams of Ziggler and Rude and Alexa and Nikki and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, they just take their two singles entrances and very haphazardly mix them together. They don't even flow right. They just hard cut from one song right into the next. There's no flow to it. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good for the team. I mean, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, they have a tag team name. They call themselves Fire and Desire. They've been together as friends for 4 or 5 years already. Why not at least give them their Absolution fucking song? I don't know, something. A little bit of effort, that's all I ask. How much does it take for you to make a fucking song up? Or don't you even have a go-to library of shit that you could pull from? No, we're just gonna go from Mandy Rose's porno music, Mandy Donuts, right? And then Sonya, Sonya, Mandy. Come on! That being said, I'm on fire tonight. I don't know what's even got me so hyped up. It's just bad mojo in my air right now. I think I'm trying to exercise all that shit out by entertaining you guys to the best of my ability. This was not bad. But like I said, considering there was no title change, this should have been on the pre-show. Bliss and Cross still remain your women's tag team champions. I thought for sure they were going to the actual tag team. I thought they were going to change it up. But you know how the WWE is with their Bliss love, right? They're never going to make Alexa Bliss look bad. Nikki Cross is probably never going to have a run like she's having right now once she severs ties with the Bliss. They still remain your tag team champions. The Intercontinental Championship was on the line. Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz. I really didn't care about this matchup. I didn't pay too much attention to it, to be honest with you. So I can't give you an honest assessment of the match. I was much more interested in spending time with my daughter. I was helping my wife with a tiny little issue she was having with her computer, which I took care of, and it was all way more important than anything that was happening in the ring at that time, so I had no reason to tell either one of them, sorry honey, or sorry baby girl, I'm watching wrestling, you gotta give me a minute. I was more than happy to divert my attention away from the screen, even though I don't know what to tell you guys about this matchup, except for the fact that we all know good guy Miz ain't worth a shiz. I don't give a shit. I was not pulling for The Miz to win in here, and I'm glad that Shinsuke Nakamura retained. I think the heel Shinsuke with Sammy maybe has some leg room and some room to grow and might actually become something really special down the line. And it'll be made even better when Sami Zayn actually turns on Shinsuke, and maybe we could revisit their rivalry from NXT. If things ever start to go right in the WWE, that's where this could head, and it would be great. But everything that has to do with The Miz right now, until The Miz decides to shed this, daddy boy skin he's in. I'm just not at all interested. I much rather prefer watching him on Ms. and Mrs. If this is the character he's going to play, I'd rather watch him be a dad and be a husband to Maurice and do all these funny, interesting things with his mother-in-law and have all these crazy adventures. But I don't need to see you in the ring shaking hands, kissing babies, and trying to get fans. You're the Miz. You're awesome. You're supposed to throw that shit in our face. I don't want to see this shit. The match of the night, in this reviewer's opinion, goes to The Man versus The Boss. The Raw Women's Championship was a very, very good back and forth match. Excellent in-ring psychology. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch brought each other very close to their limit, I would have to say. The story here in this matchup, both of these girls trying to lock in their submission moves. Very, very hard for both of them to do. They had each other very well scouted. Sasha Banks seemingly got frustrated to the point where she went out and grabbed a steel chair. Initially, she used it very smart. She had no intention on swinging that chair at Becky Lynch. She was only using it to divert the attention of the referee away from the situation so that she could gain the advantage on her opponent, which is fine heel tactics. But as soon as you had Sasha Banks contemplating swinging that steel chair on the second go-around and possibly getting disqualified to the point where the referee had to admonish her and take the chair away, that makes her look like a fucking idiot. Why would this girl, who for the last 2 weeks has been talking about doing nothing but take the championship from the man, jeopardize everything about that by using a steel chair in this matchup? She definitely came off looking kind of foolish just in that scenario. And then the WWE gets foolish with the whole entire thing. What we had going was a great match. We had a fantastic match, and there was a perfect opportunity for the WWE to accomplish everything they wanted to accomplish here and do it the right way. Instead of having Becky and Sasha brawling all over the arena, knocking out referees, doing all this crazy shit, having the referee make a decision about, Sasha Banks getting the win because Becky's disqualified and all this other fucking nonsense, the smart move, the smart way to go about this would have been when the referee was knocked out by Becky Lynch's chair shot, Bayley comes flying out from the back, giving the advantage to Sasha Banks, helping her get the best of Becky Lynch, followed by a second referee, which is usually what happens when one referee goes down. A second referee usually, rears his ugly head, comes to the ring. He could have made the count. Sasha Banks wins the championship under some controversial circumstances. Controversy creates cash. It also creates buzz. And this would be fantastic for them to do leading into a Hell in a Cell rematch. If that's what you want, and you made all this extra nonsense and all this no DQ style wrestling match stuff between these two girls, all you had to do was have the title change hands due to this controversy, due to Bayley's involvement, thanks to everything that has happened between the Four Horsemen, and now you have that match set up. What would it have hurt to give Sasha the belt? Becky's been the champ since Mania. This is the perfect opportunity to do it. It would have meant something. It would have went to somebody that would have created a huge story for the WWE. And leading into Hell in a Cell, you have Becky versus Sasha in a rematch at Hell in a Cell, keeping everybody out because Bayley interfered, so you'd want to keep everybody out, and keeping the two girls in so that nobody can hightail it and leave. That's how you book professional wrestling, you monkeys. You don't take an extra 10 minutes having them do all this stuff that's going to come at you in a no disqualification match later. They actually did more in this real matchup while the referee was asleep than we seen in the actual no disqualification matchup. And sure, I'm sure you guys were excited and you thought it was great how they were fighting through the fans and all this shit, but it was too much. It was way too much. All they had to do was have, even if you didn't want to make the title change hands, you have Bayley interfere, costing Sasha the match, but Sasha don't give a shit because maybe this was the plan all along, to have the advantage on Becky Lynch, softening her up for the eventual rematch at Hell in a Cell. There's a million different ways you could have went about it, but they failed on that opportunity. They absolutely failed. Sasha should have won this match. I know she won by disqualification, so that's kind of silly to say. Sasha should have won the championship. Shake things up in the women's division. Give the woman her due. And then have her follow up by retaining the championship at Hell in a Cell. Giving everybody a new direction. Lighting a fire in the women's division that we haven't seen for quite some time. And it would be a beautiful blue flame that I think would burn throughout the rest of the year, at least. I know some of you guys are fickle and you don't have any patience to last that long, but I think it'll be great. But that's not what they did here. Becky Lynch remains your champion because she got disqualified for using the steel chair, and then all the nonsense went on. And then the crowd was kind of out of it for the match that would follow. But these girls told a great in-ring story. It was very high drama and ruined by all the extra to gain heat for a match that actually hasn't even been announced yet, if we want to get technical. But that's the WWE for you. The WWE Championship match came after this. I think the crowd definitely was somewhat taken out of it due to everything that happened between Sasha and Becky, and they were not so much into this matchup. I don't think Kofi and Randy were too much into this matchup. I felt like they just kind of were going through the motions, almost as if they were kind of held back a little bit. Maybe they were feeding off the crowd. Maybe they felt the crowd wasn't that into it and they didn't want to give out the best spots, and maybe they called a few audibles just to rein it back a little bit. I know it got intense at points, but the fact that Kofi Kingston won this match is very surprising to me. Very surprising to me. On a night where most of the heels won, this is the one match that I called for the heel winning that it didn't happen. It didn't happen here. Kofi Mania is still running wild in the WWE at the expense of RKO, and he beat him clean. There was no bullshit. Kofi Kingston took the best Randy Orton had to offer. This match at points got a little no DQ-ish at times. There was one point where they were both out there for an inordinate amount of time, and I thought that the WWE, not the WWE, but that the referee should be administering a count. That would happen multiple times on this night. Never more evident than in the match that would come after this one, but it was just, it wasn't as intense as I expected. Nothing really stood out. It was slightly underwhelming. Possibly they're saving everything for another rematch that's going to come from these guys. Or maybe Randy Orton's just done and he's going to be moved away from the WWE Championship. Maybe he's going to be moved to Monday Night Raw, and Brock Lesnar will be moved to SmackDown Live, and he will be the one on Fox after the draft to be the one to beat Kofi Kingston for that WWE Championship. That's my best prediction for the future, because if they didn't take it off him now and give it to the very legit, very over Randy Orton, I don't know when they're going to take it off of him, and that would be my best guess. Brock Lesnar, post-draft, on Fox. Not even at pay-per-view, on Fox, on SmackDown Friday night, to make it feel, like must-see TV. The WWE Championship match. After that, like I said, not much to talk about. Kofi Kingston remains our champion. After this matchup, we have Rowan versus Roman. No DQ battle over who has the better middle letter in their full name. Like I said, Sasha versus Becky was way more no DQ than this no DQ match, if you really want to be honest. This was a long, boring affair that was only made exciting by the appearance and the re-emergence of Luke Harper, coming out to help Rowan defeat Roman. But where is this going? Why is this suddenly a thing again? I appreciate the surprise of it all. I know a couple of people that had predicted something of this going down, but I didn't think much of it. I didn't think we were going to see Luke Harper tonight. But we did. And both of these guys now have their targets on Roman Reigns. But what are we watching? What are we watching? Are we watching a Bludgeon Brothers reunion tour? I don't want to see that. I enjoyed the Bludgeon Brothers, but I didn't like the name. I didn't like the packaging behind them, and I wasn't too much into them by the way they were booking them before they ended up disappearing. So is that what this is? Or is this something more along the lines of what I had suggested? If you watched my 5 ways to book Bray Wyatt, you know where I'm going with this. Are they possibly reuniting to reform with Bray Wyatt as members of the Firefly Funhouse, the human counterparts of the puppets? Maybe Eric Rowan is Rambling Rabbit. And like I said in my video, Luke Harper will be the real-life interpretation of Mercy the Buzzard. Who knows? That would be great. I would not be against that at all. I would love to see that more than I'd love to see a Bludgeon Brothers reunion. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves and be more creative than the WWE like we like to do. I'm not hating on it. Believe me, I love Amon Amarth. Luke Harper came out in his Amon Amarth t-shirt. I love Luke Harper. I've always been very high on the guy. Just unsure as to the motivations. I'm interested and looking forward to learning more about this. But hopefully they give us more about this, because we still have no clear idea why Rowan did what he did. We know now who his accomplice was. Is Daniel Bryan still going to play a role in this thing? Is it absolutely possible that Daniel Bryan is the mastermind and that now Harper and Rowan are going to be following Daniel Bryan? Maybe Daniel Bryan's the leader of the cult. Luke Harper's going to now join them, and we have this whole new recycle faction where we are recycling the Wyatt family of sorts, because Daniel Bryan as well was once part of the Wyatt family. They have some time together. There is a little bit of history they can pull back on, and that might be interesting to do as well. Daniel Bryan will have this tag team at his disposal to help him save the world as the evil Captain Planet and his Planeteers. You know what? I'd be down for that too. There's a million ways they can go. But I guarantee you, probably not going to do anything nearly as interesting as what we just talked about right now. But surprisingly enough, Eric Rowan gets a win over Roman Reigns on pay-per-view, albeit thanks to the help of his former tag team partner, and I guess future tag team partner, Luke Harper. And then the Universal title match, which we went off on at the beginning of the show. We've touched upon it 1,000,001 times in between, and we're just going to talk about it very quickly once again. The reason why I hated it was just based off of how easily Seth Rollins was able to just handle Braun Strowman. He was just handling his business. He took a little bit of damage. It's not that Braun Strowman didn't do shit, but that made it even worse. It's like Seth Rollins took the best Braun Strowman had to offer. Braun Strowman took off from the top rope and executed a body splash that looked like a freight train flying off the tracks. Crashed onto the body of the smaller, dweeby Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins kicks out. That was astonishing to me as it was. And then the fact that Seth Rollins hits a curb stomp once, twice, 3 times before Braun Strowman would try to mount some sort of an attack, only to end up eating a pedigree, and then a 4th and then a 5th curb stomp. I hated the end. I hated everything about it. And Seth Rollins standing there looking like he's not even winded. You just went 15 minutes with a 7-foot monster. And he looked like he didn't even break a sweat. Handled Braun Strowman. He didn't just beat Braun Strowman. And that's what pisses me off. It's not like Braun Strowman played the Giant and Seth Rollins, played David. It wasn't David versus Goliath. If you want to put that on it, then you'd have to make Seth Rollins Goliath. Really? Look back at that match. Seth Rollins was the one in control. Oh, he brought him to the best match he's ever had. That might be true. But what good did it do him in the end when Braun Strowman is losing clean 1, 2, 3 to Seth Rollins? And don't justify it to me with, oh, well, he beat Brock and he beat him. Why wouldn't he beat Braun Strowman? Because it's not supposed to be about Seth. Seth is a champion. You're supposed to be protecting your special attractions like Braun Strowman. He doesn't need to be champion, but he definitely didn't need to be beaten in such a disrespectful and such a puss-like manner. Strowman was punked out by Seth Rollins. Who gets punked out by Seth Rollins? Awful. Awful decision. Especially when you compound on top of that, the whole plan by the end of the night was to have the Fiend attack Seth Rollins to start their path to the Hell in a Cell. And if Braun Strowman's going to be involved to begin with, why not just have the Fiend cost everybody the match? End the show in controversy. Everybody's going to want to tune in tomorrow night. Even more so. Everybody's already interested now. We're going to tune into Raw to see what Seth Rollins has to say about what happened to him with the Fiend. Some creative and some incredible imagery during that final segment. As the Fiend locked in the mandible claw while the lights flickered on and off on the main stage. Clash of the Champions went off the air. And I came here to hang out with you guys and swing this hammer and tell you guys the truth about this show. This is the fucking truth. Anybody that tells you otherwise, they might have points here and there. I'm not saying everybody else is wrong. I'm not saying anybody else is a jackass. All I'm telling you is they don't see things the way I see it. And some people are so hungry for this company and this show to be good that they will grasp onto any little thing positive and take that all the way into the end zone. But we live in New York. We don't get into the end zone very often. Giants and Jet fans, you know what I'm fucking talking about. So we find everything wrong with the game itself. And we will blame everybody from the coach to the quarterback. Thank you guys for checking out the Clash of Champions review tonight. That's all we got. Clash of Champions, some decent matchups, some good stuff. But at the end of the day, there's lots of things wrong, lots of stuff that don't make sense. And it's going to continue to have us coming back because I need to see where they're going to go with all this shit. And it all starts with tomorrow night's Monday Night Raw. I am seriously considering going live with tomorrow night's Monday Night Raw. It is my birthday. My family will be asleep by that point. We can maybe have a live Monday Night Raw birthday bash celebration. I have not gone live on the new system since I got it. I don't know how it's going to go down. Hopefully it goes well. If I decide to do it, it's still like a 50-50 chance. I'm not really too sure. If you guys would be interested and will be here to come out to a live show Monday night, which will actually be later on today for some of you guys watching this show, let me know, and maybe I will be more inclined to do so if I know we're going to have a big hangout crowd to come out and help me celebrate my birthday as we bring the hammer down on a birthday edition of Monday Night Raw, which is probably going to make me wish that I was never born. But let's hope that that's not the case, and I hope to see you guys out there one way or the other. If we don't go live, we will always be here following the show to bring the hammer down on the WWE and everything that they want to pass off as professional wrestling, as well as SmackDown Live Tuesday night, and for the first time ever, Wednesday, NXT hits the airwaves on USA. And I'm iffy with this one as well. I might wait until AEW goes head-to-head and just do like a Wednesday night war show all together, since we don't really do NXT all that often outside of the TakeOver pay-per-views. But again, I'm going to put that out there to you. If you guys are still with me at 48 minutes, you are obviously hardcore, long-time Sledgehammer TV fans. And if you guys would be interested in, NXT having its own show, AEW having its own show, should I combine the two into one double review for you guys on Thursday night? Because we're going to start getting SmackDown Live on Friday. Everything's going to get so fucking crazy in the next couple of weeks. I can use some advice, and you guys can help me maybe figure out the new fall schedule here on Sledgehammer TV. And the best way for you guys to follow it, no matter how we end up scheduling it and formatting it out, is to make sure you are subscribed right now. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get over that 2,000 subscriber mark as we start to shoot for the stars and try to get to 10K and beyond as soon as possible. But it's all going to start once we hit that 2K, and maybe that's going to open the floodgates and begin the tidal wave as the Sledgehead Army begins and can actually, we begun 3 years ago, but the Sledgehead Army will continue to take over YouTube one subscriber at a time. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything that goes up on this channel, because it's going to be an interesting couple of months, and I don't know when I'm going to be shooting stuff at you, but you can guarantee yourself and take to the bank, take it right to Sasha Banks's bank, that we will be here every Monday and every Tuesday and following every pay-per-view, no matter what, and we will be bringing the hammer down on AEW on TNT, no matter what. Thank you guys once again for being part of this show with me. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. Do not forget, my most valuable members of this team are each and every one of you, and you can prove that right now in another way by going to check out Everything Wrong with the first ever WWE Clash of Champions. In about 12 minutes is live on this channel right now. Go check it out right now. We did a retro review. We did it CinemaSin style, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the most proud things I have ever done, and one of the things I am the most proud of that I have ever done. That was not proper English at all, but I don't hide nothing from you guys. We keep it real here, and I want you guys to keep it real with me. Go watch that damn video, and then drop a comment down in that comment section down below. Let me know what you thought of the Clash of Champions. Let me know if you will be here for the Monday Night Raw live birthday bash. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to tune in to find out for sure. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here. And we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom. Click.